This is sort of a spin-off episode of Hoarder House to Home. It's more of a how-to guide. In this video, I'll be showing you how to test to see if you need a water softener and then how to install a water softener in your own house. We'll also be installing a whole house filter to protect the water softener and the other plumbing, and also to enhance the quality of the water. So the first step is to determine if you even need a water softener. At my house, we don't need a water softener because the water is naturally soft. But in most areas of the country, with well water especially, you will have hard water and you will need a water softener. Alright, so you'll need to purchase a water hardness test kit, and it can be picked up in your local hardware store or your big box stores like Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards. But in this case, this is a Waterworks total hardness test. It doesn't really matter which one you use as long as it's got good reviews and it gives you an accurate reading. And it uses a test strip, and what we'll do is we'll get a sample of water and we'll find out what our hardness level is. I've already done this, but I'll go ahead and show you how to do it. Alright, so here we are in the bathroom. I'm going to turn on the water. We'll let it run for a little bit, get a sample. Alright, take one of your test strips. In this case, we're going to dip it in for 3 seconds, but you want to follow the instructions that came with your kit. And we'll take it out and we'll immediately compare it to the chart. Alright, so in our case, the results were 250 ppm, which means hard to very hard water. Alright, so now, what do we do with that number? Okay, so I have 250 ppm hardness. So what you do is take your calculator, and it says you have to multiply the ppms by how many gallons of water per day that you'll be using in the house, which will give you the size of the water softener basically that you need. So in our case, the average use per person is 80 gallons per day. Well, in this house, there'll be 2 people living on a full-time basis. So we'll take 80 times 2, 160. Take 160, multiply it by your hardness level, 250 ppm. That gives me a number of 40,000. Okay, so 40,000, what does that mean? When you're shopping for water softeners, you'll see that they're rated in a grain capacity. And in this case, this one is a 40,000 grain capacity water softener. So I was not able to get away with just buying the bottom end unit. We had to go for one. In this case, it says it's exactly 40,000 grains. So it's exactly what we need to get the level of hardness down to a comfortable level. When you go up from this level here, and this is a GE unit that we purchased at Home Depot. It had really good reviews, and at Lowe's you'll find a Whirlpool selection of water softeners. At Home Depot you'll find GE. They are similar. They are a self-contained unit where the tank is actually inside of the water softener itself, and you can either buy something like this for around $500, or you can spend thousands of dollars on a professional level system, and you can argue back and forth about which one's better. But in our case, we're going to go with this system here, and it should give us at least 5 years of service, and it has good reviews, so we'll see how it does. So I'll be showing you how to install it. Also in this video, I'll be installing dual GE filters on the incoming water supply. This will be after it leaves the well tank. It will immediately go into these filters before it goes into the water softener, and then out of the water softener it'll feed the hot water tank and the cold water supply to the rest of the house. I'll also be installing a bypass so we can bypass the filters in the case of maybe you're bleaching your well, or these are clogged and you don't have new filters in hand, whatever, you'll be able to bypass these. And also the hot water softener. The reason I went with 2 units instead of 1 is because there is a decent amount of sediment in the water out here that comes from the well. So the first filter in line will be a string filter, which allows really fine particles through but does a good job of blocking heavy sediment. And in the second filter housing, we'll have a finer micron filter, like a carbon block filter, that can filter out some of the taste and odor and other things that could be wrong with the water. And the reason we use the larger filter first is it actually protects the smaller filter, because you could clog a finer micron filter up with large sediment in a matter of days. And obviously you can't really afford to replace a filter like that every couple days. So this first filter is just to protect the second one, and then it actually will protect our water system. So besides the filter and the actual water softener itself, you'll need various plumbing supplies. In our case, the house is plumbed with CPVC. So we've got various fittings. We've got our glue to put our CPVC lines together. And then you'll also need a connection kit for the water softener. It doesn't come with this. These lines right here are meant to adapt a 3/4 inch copper CPVC or PEX water line to the 1 inch inputs that are on the water softener. And you can also get these at the same place you buy the water softener. In our case, the water comes in from the well on this line here, runs down this standpipe and into the tank. This pressure tank is what gives us our water pressure in the house and keeps the well from cycling on and off continuously. After it comes out of here, it leaves and goes through this pipe here, comes up and branches off, goes over here to the input to our hot water tank, and then this is the cold water supply line for the rest of the house. So basically what I want to do is break this connection here, and right out of the well we want it to go into our water filters, then our water softener, and then come back and enter our lines here. So what I plan on doing is breaking that connection there, running 2 pipes over along the wall. We'll have our water filters and our water softener in this area here. You need to keep in mind that the water softener goes through a backflush procedure and needs a drain. So we do have drains right here. So it's kind of the perfect location. We have drains, we have our water supply, and you also need electric. And in our case, there's an electrical outlet right there, which was actually roughed in when they built the house for a water softener. Alright, excuse my lighting, it's a little dark over here, but the first thing I need to do is shut off the water supply to the house, and then I'm going to drain the hot water tank. The reason I'm going to drain the hot water tank is because it's full of hard water. We might as well start its life with soft water and get rid of all this nasty sediment containing water that we put into our new hot water tank, get it out of there. But before you drain it, make sure you turn the power off. Otherwise you will certainly destroy your water heater. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is mounting our filters in the wall. Alright, the brackets on these filters are a little strange. They actually hook around where the pipes come in, and then have your little mounting tabs in the wall so you can hang it something like this. So the first thing we have to do is mount the brackets, and then we'll be able to plumb this stuff together. These filters do not come with anything besides what you see here. So in this case, since I'm using CPVC, I had to buy the correct threaded adapter. And like I said, since I'm hooking 2 of the filters together, I'll put one on each end, put a length, kind of set this all into place. That way I know how far apart to mount my brackets. It is going to be kind of a pain though, because to get this mounted on here, this actually has to be in place. And that's what holds that in place. Kind of strange design. Mark holes where I'm going to drill. And behind here is a block wall, so I'm going to be using a Tapcon bit and Tapcon screws. make sure your in and your out are facing the right way. So in this case, this is in, this is out. I'm going to use about 12 inches of Teflon tape on the threads. Snug our fittings down, which will tighten everything in place. Just make sure you don't strip anything out. Don't snug it down too hard, it is all plastic. Alright, now I just need to cut a little piece of pipe to go between the two filters. Go. Make sure we have enough room to actuate everything. Alright, that'll be about perfect there. Alright, let's glue up our connections. Alright, get it positioned roughly where we want it to be. It's time to start following instructions. Alright, so the instructions will be different depending on the model water softener you have. In my case, the first step is to install the brine tank overflow adapter. There's just a hole in the back of this cabinet here, a grommet, and this push fitting that need to be installed. Alright, so I've got the brine overflow adapter installed. What I'm going to do is remove the packaging material on here. Here's our bypass valve, and it's going to go into here in this case since we want the water supply facing up. If your pipes are near the ground, you can turn it this way and install it. There are O-rings that go on here that keep it from leaking. You want to make sure that they are lubed with the silicone grease that it comes with before you install them. Slide this in as far as it will go. Alright. Then you reinstall the clips from the top down, like this. Alright, to install the water supply, same thing, we'll lubricate our O-rings. This will go down in here. Then we have clips, hold that in place. They go in from the sides. And then we'll have to make our plumbing connections to the rest of the system. Alright, installing the clips now. I've got these greased and put in. One other thing you want to keep in mind too, if you have a copper plumbing or metal pipe system in your house, it may be part of your ground system for your electrical lines. So you'll know that because your panel may be grounded to a copper pipe in your house. By installing a water softener, you're potentially breaking that ground connection. So if you do that, you need to follow your local plumbing and electrical codes. Find a way. You can put a jumper wire from your copper to copper. But in our case in this house, since it's CPVC plumbing, that's not a consideration. And the electrical system is grounded with its own ground rod. Alright, so now we're going to have two drain connections to make. One is up here, one is right here. And it does come with 3/8" line, drain hose. You'll need to check your local codes to make sure that it's okay to use this flexible drain line. If you have to use rigid line, you'll have to make a few changes to your plan. Alright, so I need to measure and cut my length of drain hose. Before I cut that drain valve to length, I'm gonna kind of install our water, set our water line in place just to see kind of where I need to position this. So if this comes out here, needs to connect to here. And I want to slide this whole thing over just a little bit. Alright, now it's time to do a little bit of plumbing. I'm going to be putting a shutoff valve on basically the inlet and the outlet of the water filters, which basically acts as a way to lock down each part of the system. Some might say that's a little overkill, but now's the time to do it. So I've got my line plumbed here, tighten it down on the back of the water softener, and this is obviously the inlet line. I don't want to make this too tight since we're talking about plastic threads here. Try that.
Here's where we're at so far.
There are 2 drain line connections that run down into the drain. We're actually going to secure this to the wall right here, because there is some pressure that can come out of here when it's backwash and you don't want it to blow out of the drain. Alright, now it's time to start modifying our plumbing to make sure everything works here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off.
Alright, so just a quick overview of exactly what we did here. Okay, so once again, water comes in from the well here, goes up across this line, up through here. Now this will be in the off position. So that will keep water from going through here. It will force the water to come out of this pipe, running through here. And the reason we have valves here is that way, if we need to change the filters, we can shut it off. These filters also have built-in bypass valves, so you can bypass them if you have to, but most don't have that. So once again, the water will come through the first filter, which will be our string filter, which will catch heavy sediment. It will then come out, go through our finer filter, which will catch some of the other sediment and other contaminants in the water, if there is any. Then it will come in to our water softener, do its thing, come out of the water softener, run along this pipe here, which once again we can also shut off if we have to. Come back into here, can't go this way because this is off, and it will go up into the plumbing system, through the hot water tank, up into the cold water supply for the rest of the house. Basically, if you want to bypass all of this, all you have to do is shut these two valves off and then open this one, and it will completely bypass your water filters and your water softener in case you have a leak. If you just have a small leak or something happens where you need to shut off the water to the water softener, you can just turn this valve here and it will only shut off the incoming water supply to the water softener, but you'll still have the water up until this point. A little redundant, but like I said, now is the time to spend a few more dollars, put in your shut-off valves where you need them. Alright, so depending on the model of water softener you have, you'll have to obviously add salt to the system now. And then depending on your water hardness, it will say in the instructions the level that you need to set the tank at, and how often it needs to regenerate, and how often you need to add salt. This can give you a general idea and set an alarm to kind of tell you how often you need to add salt, but it's all based upon the settings that you put in. So every now and then you just need to check on it, and you'll know if you're out of salt because your water will start to turn hard again. Alright, we've got the water turned on to this point here. Check for leaks in our filters, which doesn't look like there's any so far. Alright, to pressurize the system to check for leaks, the first thing you want to do is have 2 or more cold water faucets, like a sink or a bathtub, turned on, and then place the bypass valve in the bypass position. And how you do that is you will push this in to bypass. Basically what that means is the system won't be in use. So we'll do that now. The next thing you want to do is slowly turn on your water supply while checking for leaks in your hoses, and this will allow water to run through the system and up into our cold water supply, and you want to run it until the faucets upstairs have no air leaks and you can tell that all the air is out of the system. So we'll slowly open this. You can actually see the water moving through the system. You can already see the sediment and dirt in the water supply. So we'll look, make sure we don't have any leaks. So far we're looking so good. I still have the hot water heater turned off. Like I said, I'm going to fill it with soft water once everything's in service here. So far there's no leaks. Alright, the next thing you want to do is slowly pull the bypass valve open, and you'll hear the tank start to fill. And you want to do that slowly so we can fill the tank. And your cold water valves are still open upstairs. We'll pause and do it again a little bit more. You can actually hear the tank filling with water. Alright, you'll hear all the air burp out of the tank and out through your faucets. And once you're sure that there's no more air, we'll let it run for a few more minutes, because I can still hear the air rising through the pipes. Look at that filter already. I mean, this is just running just a little bit of water through the system. See how much dirt and sediment is coming up from the well. Why it's so important to have filters. Next step is we're going to add about 3 gallons of water here into the storage tank, and then we're going to put our salt in.
Next step, add salt. Start by adding 3 bags. Alright, there's what it looks like with 3 bags of salt. The next step is to plug it in. Alright, just plugged it in. Now you're supposed to sanitize it, and how you do that is you'd add some bleach inside of this cover here, and then run it through a regeneration cycle. But like I said, each water softener is different, so consult your manual on how to program it. Alright, I've just started a manual regeneration process by pressing and holding this button here. You'll need to set your water hardness level, and to do that it's measured in grains per gallon instead of ppm. You just take your ppm, divide it by 17.1, and that's how you get your grains per gallon number for programming it. But you can also just read the manual and it will tell you exactly how to do that. But the system's up and running, good to go. We got no leaks. Hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, give me a like, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you have a question. Thanks for watching.